morning, all of you have joined. Okay, let us start. So, if your actual overtaking operation, that is from position A2 to A3, if it is your capital T second, in that case, within that overtaking operation, what will happen? Initially, your position was A2. So, if the total distance is basically D2, so basically your D2 would be initially your position was A2, and after that you have uh, 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 reached about A3 with accelerating your vehicles. And initially, what was your speed? That was your dv meter per second. And if your acceleration is A, in that case, it would be dvt plus half at square. So basically D2 is Vv into T plus half at square. So basically that is the distance you have covered over there. Now another thing you can notice from this picture is that is basically D2, and this particular distance is basically S, that is your spacing, and you know the formula for the spacing is 0.7 Vv plus 6. So basically you can convert this term into another thing, that is B plus 2S. Now you know the S, you have to find out what is the B. So B is the basically it is the distance covered by the slow moving vehicle during the overtaking operation, that is from position B1 to B2. So your total overtaking time is capital T. So within that time, that vehicle has moved from B1 to B2. So basically that distance would be VB into capital T. Okay. So VB into capital T, basically that distance is VB into capital T plus your 2s. Basically that distance is nothing but the total d2 distance, that is VB into T plus half at square. So from this formula you can find out what is the overtaking time for that particular vehicle, that is capital T. Okay, so basically your T is root over 4s by A, and you know what is F. F is nothing but your 0.7 dB plus 6, and A is the basically the rate of the acceleration. So basically with that formula you can find out what is your capital T. Now after that you can easily find out what is your T2. T2 is nothing but 2s plus T into, that is T, and the value of T is root over 4s by A. Now another distance is there, that is the distance whenever that opposite moving vehicles is coming from C1 to C2, and the speed of the opposite moving vehicle is design speed, that is 3 meter per second, and that distance is covered during the overtaking operation. So that would be E3 would be E into capital T. So you know the value of T, you know that what is the value of S, so we can find out what is the overtaking side distance. Okay, so let us discuss this again. In that case, it will be much more clear to you. So your distance is basically from A1 to A2. So basically that distance is basically your D1 distance, and D1 distance is nothing but VB into T, where T is your reaction time, and in that case that reaction time is considered as 2 seconds to Vb. Now what is Vb? Vb is the speed of the slower moving vehicles. It has basically that is the vehicle P. Now why you are considering the speed of the slow moving vehicles of the speed of that vehicle A? Because whenever that vehicle A observe the slow moving vehicles, in that case he will also forced to reduce his speeds, and that speed would be equivalent to the speed of the slow moving vehicle. That's why we have considering that speed of the vehicle A is also VB meter per second during the overtaking operation. Okay, so D1, the problem for the D1 is solved. Now you need to find out what is D2 here. D2. So basically, what is the D2? D2 is basically the actual overtaking the operation. Now, if you consider that actual overtaking time is capital T second, in that case, in that time, what will happen? The vehicle A will initially it was going with a slower speed, that is 50 meter per second. After that, it will accelerate and change its lane and again going to its original lane. Now, in both the cases, it will maintain a safe distance from the vehicle B, and that safe distance is basically called the spacing. And the formula, empirical formula for the spacing is 0.bb plus 6. Okay. Now your D2 is nothing but your B plus QS. Now you know what is the value of QS. Okay. Now what is B? So basically B is nothing but the distance covered by the vehicles B from position B1 to B2 during the total overtaking time. Okay. So if the speed of the vehicle B is VB and overtaking time is T, 2s. Okay. Now, what is D2? D2 is the total distance covered from by vehicle A from A2 to A3. So we can express the D2 in another thing, that is D2 is initially the speed of the vehicle A was VB. What is the total time taken for the overtaking operation? T plus half A into T square. Okay. So that is the total overtake. That is the total T2. Now you can equate this VBT plus 2h to VBT plus half AT square, and from that value you can find out what is the value of T. So value of T is root over 4s by A. Now you have access to all the values. You know what are the values of different unknown factors. So from that case, you can easily find out what is the T2 value. Now what is the T3 value? T3 value is the distance covered by the opposite moving vehicle during the overtaking operation. So basically that would be your T3 is basically G into T, and you know what is the value of T. And if you uh, uh, add up all these distance, that is D1, D2 and D3, you will find out what is the overtaking side distance. So that is written over here. You just go through it and let me know if you have any confusion regarding this. Now another thing is there, that is called overtaking zone. So what is overtaking zone? Overtaking zone is, suppose in a highway, if there is very little provision to provide the overtaking side distance. Suppose the physical characteristics of the road is not suitable to provide overtaking side distance for the length of the road. In such cases, you have to provide the overtaking dedicated overtaking zone, where that overtaking operation could be taken place. Okay, so basically that type of dedicated zones are called overtaking zone, and the minimum length for the overtaking zone should be 3 times of the overtaking side distance, and the desirable length for the overtaking zone should be 5 times of the overtaking side distance. Now, after installing that overtaking zone, you need to provide or you need to install some signposts to make aware of that overtaking zone, because if you are moving, if the driver is moving in such cases, you need to know a overtaking zone is ahead of you. So where to post that signpost? So one signpost should be provided at a distance of overtaking side distance from the entry of the overtaking zone, and another signpost should be provided at a distance of overtaking side distance from the exit of that particular overtaking zone. So for example, if your overtaking side distance is 100 meter, your minimum overtaking length of the overtaking zone would be 300 meter, and desirable overtaking zone length would be 500 meter. Now your first signpost would be at a 100-meter distance from the entry of the overtaking zone, and your second signpost would be at a distance of 100 meter from the exit of the overtaking zone. So basically, these are the overtaking zone. Then side distance at an intersection. So intermediate side distance, intermediate side distance is the two times of the SST, that is stopping side distance. That is your intermediate side distance. Atlas side distance is equivalent to stopping side distance. That's why we have not discussed about these things. Another side distance was there, that is side distance in the intersection. So in the intersection, you need to provide a side distance so that the vehicles in coming from this lane or that lane can easily view what is the vehicle, what are the vehicles status are there in that portion. Okay, in a right angle portion, what are the position of the vehicles, if any vehicles are coming or not. So you need to provide that side distance. So to provide that side distance, basically that intersection portion, this portion should be free from any building activity. Okay, so that is the side distance in the intersection. So one numerical is there. Or try to solve this numerical. So it is written as derive the equation for overtaking side distance for a two-way two-lane road. Here the speed of the overtaking vehicles and overtaking vehicles is given as 70 and 40 kilometer per hour. So the first task is to convert the speed into meter per second, because whatever formula I discussed, that all this formula, the speed is in meter per second. So first thing is you have to convert your speed, that is 70 and 40 kilometer per hour, into meter per second. Now, acceleration of the vehicle is given as 0.99 meter per second square. That is also required. Calculate the safe overtaking side distance. Mention the minimum length of the overtaking zone. Then draw a net case of the overtaking zone. Now the safe overtaking side distance. How we can find out what is the safe overtaking side distance? So your safe overtaking side distance, or OHD, is basically D1 plus D2 plus D3. So your D1 would be that your speed, whatever you converted into meter per second, that is your 40 kilometer per hour, 40 into your T. T is the reaction time, that is 2 seconds. After that, plus then you have to find out what is the formula for S. What is the formula for S? So you have to find out what is S. S is basically 0.7 into converted 40 kilometer per hour in plus 6, that is your S. Then you need to find out what is the value of capital T. So capital T is basically is your root over 4s by and A is given as 0.99 meter per second square. So using all these things, you can easily find out what is the T2, and after that you need to find out what is the D3. So for the D3, use that is 70 kilometer per hour, convert to 70 kilometer per hour. So basically that's the you have to consider. Okay, so after that you can easily find out what is the overtaking side distance. So after finding out the overtaking side distance, you need to find out what is the overtaking zone. So your minimum, mention the minimum length. So your minimum length would be three times of the overtaking side distance, and draw a net sketch of the overtaking zone and mark the position of the signpost. After that, you can easily find out the or mark the position of the signpost using that pictorial diagram. Just try these two numericals, numerical 1 and 2, and that would be your assignment. Just wait for a minute, for 5 minutes, take some rest, then continue the class after 5 minutes.
Hello, sir. We can't hear anything, sir. Hello.
Hello. One urgent meeting came up, so we'll continue the class in the next week. Okay. All of you just give your attendance over here or in the WhatsApp. You can give.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let us finish the class.